I would like to introduce Alissa Boyer, founder of the Highly Sensitive and Soulful Membership, a mentor for highly sensitive people and empaths, and a certified Reiki energy healer. She helps other HSPs and empaths experience greater self-love, confidence, and inner peace through spiritual development. Alissa is here to share information on being an empath versus a highly sensitive person and understanding how to release energy that isn't good for us. Hi, Alissa. It's so good to have you.
Hi, how are you? I'm so happy to be here. So
Good.
excited.
You look so beautiful with that sun behind you.
Thank you.
Like a Cleopatra goddess thing you have going.
Oh, I appreciate that. Yes.
Why don't you start by just telling us a little bit about yourself, your practice, and what you do?
Yeah, so I'm a mentor for highly sensitive people and empaths. I'm really passionate about helping other sensitive people learn to love and embrace their sensitivity and use it as a gift and a superpower. I find that most of us who are very sensitive tend to have this belief that there's something wrong with us, that it's an undesirable trait. And a lot of us grew up believing that. So I like to work with people to help them get rid of those old beliefs and step into it in a more empowered state and learn how to take good care of themselves, which includes clearing out that energy from other people. So I do one-on-one mentoring and I have a membership. So those are the ways I really support people.
Could you tell us a little bit about your membership? Do people reach out to you, or do you choose specific people of your clients?
Yeah, so my membership is for HSPs and empaths, and really it's just a group, it's a community for us to really get to know about being a sensitive person, what that means, and to connect with each other. So what that looks like is each month in the membership, we focus on a different topic. So we may focus on people pleasing one month, another month it'll be energetic boundaries, things that really affect sensitive people. We work through that together. I provide a podcast, meditations, journal prompts. We also do bring in a guest expert. And then I do a monthly meetup on Zoom as well, because I think it's very important for sensitive people to get to know each other, because a lot of times we feel very alone. So it's nice to have that community to kind of validate one another and heal together.
No, I love that. I actually think I may be a highly sensitive person.
Yeah,
I find
that's
myself people pleasing as well. So I will be looking into that very much.
Yeah, so I open it for enrollment 4 times a year. So right now it's closed, but it will be opening in the future. So I have a wait list. So I think I provided that as a link. Yeah, so people could get on that. And yeah, so it's been really fun.
How can they get on your wait list? Is it through your website?
I think I gave a link.
We'll throw it up in the chat then. Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, it's in Padlet. So if people visit the Padlet, they can get it through there.
Perfect. Yeah.
So what inspired you to kind of go on this journey? Was it because of you found that yourself as a highly sensitive person, you just wanted to inspire others?
Yeah, pretty much. So I found out I was a highly sensitive person, which for anyone who doesn't know what a highly sensitive person, it's not just being like an emotional person or somebody who gets affected by things. It's not just emotional. So being a highly sensitive person is a trait, and it affects 20% of the population. And so some of the signatures of the trait are that you're going to process information more deeply. You're going to notice details that other people don't see. You are going to be more empathetic because we actually have more active mirror neurons in our brain, which are responsible for empathy. So you will feel things deeper. And you also, because you're processing things so deeply, things like bright lights or annoying sounds can be really distressing to you. So these are some of the things that come along with being sensitive. And so I discovered I was a highly sensitive person 6 years ago. And it was through this book called The Highly Sensitive Person, which is written by Dr. Elaine Aron. She's the researcher who coined the term. So I found out about this book during a really low point in my life. I was working a toxic job and was really, really sick with digestive issues from chronic stress. And I learned in working with a holistic doctor that the big reason why I was getting so sick was the constant stress and fight or flight and anxiety. And I was so affected because I'm so sensitive. So it all went hand in hand. And so I really, once I learned this, it was a windy road. I didn't like just go right to sharing with people, but that is the purpose, like why I share now.
Well, that's wonderful though. I mean, I hate that you had to, go through such a windy road to figure out, but it's great that you're able to inspire other people. I mean, even myself, I didn't really know it I don't want to say labeled, but you know what I mean? Like there's people you can relate to. So I actually have a question for you. When you said they're highly sensitive people are usually empaths, are empaths usually highly sensitive people?
Oftentimes, but not always, in my experience anyway. Since I come in contact with so many HSPs, that's what it is for short for anyone listening. I come in contact with so many, and some of them are like, no, I don't think I'm an empath. I don't really feel that way. But so that's really what I've been noticing. So there's often an overlap, but I don't think it's 100% of the time. So for empaths, for example, it's really what you're affected by is other people's emotions and moods and energy. Like you're going to walk into a room and just like notice if there's somebody that's feeling off or is upset. You're going to notice like small, changes in somebody's facial expression and understand like, oh, they need me to ask how they're doing, or, oh, like we can just like pick up on that. Whereas high sensitivity, again, there's often the overlap, but where it's a little bit different is HSPs are going to be affected by all sorts of stimuli. So again, like the noises, the fabric, the things like that, the smells, sensitive to everything. Empath is more sensitive to energies and moods and things like that.
What about I guess like medication or supplements? Does that affect, I guess with your emotions, it would, you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. Well, like highly sensitive people will be more sensitive to supplements and to medication. Like often we'll need smaller doses of things actually, because everything is just more intense for us. So yeah, that's actually totally a thing. And also because of being really sensitive, you're going to have more access, like you're going to notice changes in your health and in your body really easily because we're just naturally quite in tune. So a lot of times sensitive people will like go to the doctor more often because they're like, oh, I can tell something's off, and we can kind of like get an idea of something being wrong with us before like it might even be caught medically. So kind of a tangent, but yes.
No, that's great information. It's kind of like that gut feeling, but you really know before you know.
Exactly. Totally.
We actually have a question here from one of our audience members. Do HSPs take on the energy of others when they sense it? They find themselves being deeply affected by the energy of others, positive or negative.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, we can definitely take on the energy of others, and that's why having practices to protect our energy and like release energy are really, really important, because I think there's like a misconception or like, so a lot of times you'll relate being sensitive or being an empath to being like a sponge and, oh, I just take energy on and that's just me. But I kind of find that to be disempowering, because I think we can be more sovereign in ourselves and not take that on. So I always recommend, like, before going into any situation, even if it's a Zoom call, like grounding yourself, like getting back within your body before you go into a situation, so you're very familiar with what it feels like to be in your body and less susceptible to taking on other people's stuff. I also find that it's really important to kind of be intentional with what kind of energy you want to bring into a space. I like this analogy of being a thermostat versus a thermometer. So like a thermostat, you're setting the energy, you're setting the temperature, versus being a thermometer, you're just taking on the energy. So when you're a thermostat, you can walk in and be like, okay, I feel good, I'm gonna be calm. And you just kind of have that intentionality, you're grounded, and you don't have to be a sponge to everyone else's stuff. And then the last thing I'll say, yeah, it's been really helpful. And like the last thing I would probably say too is like, inevitably there's going to be times where you pick stuff up and you feel off. So I'm a big fan of cord cutting meditations, and that's like one of the things I shared on the link page too, is a cord cutting meditation to just like disconnect from the energy and get back to yourself.
That's amazing. Are there other things that you use to kind of ground yourself? If your emotions get heightened or you feel yourself getting overwhelmed?
Yeah, I'm holding selenite. Like literally anytime I do anything like this, I always am just like holding it. So I love having just like,
Me too.
oh my gosh. It's just like my safety. I'm like, okay, so I've been holding that the whole time. So that's one thing I do.
And do
What
you
else?
cleanse yours or do you wash yours? Or I know Jassy, Jassy, do you
Not
bury yours?
not selenite, because
Oh.
selenite doesn't hold any energy, but it resets your energy. And so I also have mine that has a little bit of amethyst. So I do put this one in the moonlight because it has amethyst, but I don't really have to do that because it already has the selenite that cleanses it.
So cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. I'm not an expert at all, to be honest. I don't know very much, but I do know that this one always makes me feel good. So yeah, that's one thing. Also, it can be as simple as just like feeling feeling where you are right now. So basically, noticing what it feels like to be sitting on the chair that you're on, noticing what your feet feel like on the ground, just like I always say, just getting back into your body, getting into the present moment really helps, because we're going to have overstimulating situations and, people around us. And so we just have to get back to ourselves.
My gosh, such great information. I love listening to
Thanks.
you. Next question for you. How do you help others embrace their sensitivity? Like you said earlier, some people find it like, is something wrong with me? How do you help people kind of accept that?
Yeah, I love to focus on the reasons why it's a strength and how we can use that to our advantage. Because I do find it's easy to get caught up in the reasons why it's hard. And I think a lot of people will get stuck on that. I've noticed a lot of other HSP communities will sometimes be like, just focus on that. So I like to focus on, like, I don't discount that because it's part of the experience, and that's why I share tools to help with it. But in terms of, embracing it, I love to just share like why it's cool, why it's a superpower. So like sensitive people
I
can
love that you say that, superpower. That's just fantastic.
Yeah, it's like we can view it that way because we're 20% of the population. It was in the past, from the books I've read, sensitive people were really like often the spiritual advisors, the ones that the tribe would come to ask, like, is this other group of people safe? Because sensitive people can pick up on the subtleties and, are usually have pretty good emotional intelligence, things like that. So it's like, we're designed this way to pick up on those things. So we should embrace that rather than like try to suppress it and change it. And then, the intuition, we tend to have a heightened intuition because we're noticing connections and patterns and things like that. We also can often tap into our creativity in a really deep way. Yeah, because we have a tendency to really get moved by like art and music, and beautiful moments are just like really rich for us. So I just love sharing all of that because it's really cool, I think. So.
Oh, I totally agree. We've got some questions here for you. Do you recommend pets to help with being highly sensitive?
Definitely. Just like I have a cat, and just like petting my cat is very grounding. And they tend to know when you need support. So I think.
I totally agree. Yes.
Yeah, they're so sweet.
I got 2 cats as well. I
love them.
What's your cat's name?
Peyton.
That is adorable.
Yeah, I guess she was my husband's cat before we met, and Peyton is like a popular, or I didn't know about it, a surf brand, I guess. So.
Oh, me neither. Okay.
Yeah, so she's named after a surf brand.
That's so appropriate with the sun in the back. I love that.
Yeah.
We have another great one coming in. How can we help HSPs we live? Yes.
Okay,
that is a good someone that's already an HSP.
Yeah. So first of all, accepting them as they are and not trying to change them. I think a lot of times HSPs suffer because they're invalidated. So they'll, have a big reaction to something. They'll be, might cry over something or whatever. And, if you're not an HSP, you might not understand it and be like, why it's not that big of a deal, but that's really invalidating to that person, because for the HSP, it is real. Like, I'm very sensitive about my sleep. I cannot have like any noise, to be honest with you. And so my husband's not an HSP, and he's had to learn like that's just who she is, and it's just accept it and say and validate it. So that's one thing. And I'd also say just like when you can, just react calmly, because a lot of times HSPs will get overstimulated more easily and might feel worked up over something. And so it's helpful to have somebody that's just there to like be kind of a calm pillar of support, non-judgmental, just there to listen and just like be kind of a rock. So that's what I would say.
Was that hard for you and your husband to like navigate when you realized you were an HSP, or was that something he immediately was like, I get it?
I would say it took time for him to understand how to work with it. Like, because, one of the reasons, some of the things he likes about me most are related to me being sensitive. Like, he always liked that I would cry easily during a movie. Like, I know he thinks it's like sweet and things like that. So it's like, he likes those parts of it. But then there's the hard parts of it where, certain things will bother me and he can't understand. So that was the tough part. So what really helped was kind of explaining like, the things that you love about me are also related to me being sensitive. So here's the like hard part of it sometimes. And now he's like, he'll point people out and be like, I think they're an HSP. And he's like literally the most like
That's so sweet,
masculine guy. He's not
Yeah.
like that at all. So it's cool to see him like kind of be
Where's
open.
my husband? I need him to hear this.
He's getting better. Yeah, he's getting better.
That's really great though, that he's kind of seen you as this, sensitive but romantic, and that's just really sweet. Touched me.
Yeah, it's good.
Let's see. How should a person respond when someone says you're too sensitive or too emotional?
Yeah, so people will hear that a lot, and it's triggering and can make you really upset. So I like to say, just tell them thank you. It's one of my favorite things about myself, and just kind of like short and sweet, like, yeah, that is me. I am sensitive. It's just
That's so
part of my
empowering.
person. Yeah, because it's kind of like, okay, it's the truth. And I know it's hard. It's easier said than done, but some people aren't always going to get it or not going to be supportive. And I don't think we need to like over explain ourselves to everybody. I think at the end of the day, like we have to feel, it's all about us feeling good in ourselves and like accepting it. And then it won't matter so much if someone else says a harsh comment or doesn't get it, because that you know who you are and that you like that about yourself.
You just have you exude that positive, energy, and you've accepted that about yourself. That's so beautiful.
Thank you.
Let's see what we got here. Oh, I did want to ask you this question myself. I saw on your Instagram that you talked a bit about the mind-body connection, and I was wondering if you could expand upon that a little.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so I mean, I learned this the hard way, the mind-body connection, when I got really sick with the digestive issues, and I found like my stress levels and anxiety were directly related to my gut health. So everything is connected. And so it's super important, I've found, to have mindfulness practices in your life to keep yourself centered and healthy. Like, you can't just eat a healthy diet, but then have like stressful negative thoughts all of the time, because it's going to affect your overall health. So yeah, that was huge. Just like really prioritizing meditation every single day has been the biggest unlock for me, keeping my digestive health really solid. And also just like, because like for sensitive people, you're going to be really in tune with your body and like notice the subtle shifts. So I think we can kind of use it as a compass to like guide us when something is off. So it's like, if I get a headache, I'm not just accepting like, oh, I have a headache. I'm paying attention like, oh, maybe I was you know, spending too much time looking at a screen, or maybe,
Yeah.
oh, I
The root
got out of
cause
that.
of it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Maybe the stressful conversation. So just like not taking it at face value, but kind of getting curious.
Yeah. That's great. Have you found, I guess, obstacles or things that have caused those for you, like headaches or whatever that you've had to back away from?
Yeah. I have a tendency to like push myself too much, and I'll just get like really, I have these like overachiever like in
Oh,
me.
I know it.
Yeah, and so I'm just like, I'm still working on it. So I will sometimes ignore the cues from my body because I just want to like keep doing what I'm working on. So but that'll be the times where my neck gets really, really tight, and you know, that'll cause a headache, or my stomach will be upset because I'm working on so much and I'm like so excited about all of it, but I have to remember to like slow down and check in. So because it can go both ways. Like it can be, you can have those like get sick feelings from excitement or anxiety, because excitement
Right.
can feel the same in the body. So
Well,
yeah.
do you feel like highly sensitive people are more susceptible to like a panic attack, or you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Or I don't want to say breakdown, but you know, moments of panic or anxiety.
totally. Like I don't know if I have research to back it up, but I'm almost 100% sure. And from my own experience and from all the people I talk to, yes, because our nervous systems are more sensitive. So things are going to feel like a bigger deal to us. So yeah, a lot of HSPs I talk to have experienced anxiety and have struggled with that, because again, we're just going to feel it more deeply. And like one of the things I learned is that a traumatic event could happen to a non-HSP and an HSP, and it's going to affect the HSP more deeply
Yeah.
and feel like a much bigger thing, just because our nervous systems are really sensitive. I always like kind of explain it like this isn't scientific, but it makes sense to me. It's just like we're more raw and like open, so things are just going to like get to us, and so that's why we need more self-care than most people.
Oh, you totally just took the words out of my mouth. I was going to ask you, do you have like an exercise regime or something that keeps, you know, your those positive endorphins kind of going?
Yeah, so I every morning I start my day off with like 10 to 15 minutes of meditation, and then I love doing like a low impact workout. I just am not like a hardcore workout person. I just like won't do it.
Girl, me neither.
I'm like, I will do 20 minutes of something easy or nothing. So I like low impact workouts. And that's a good way to just like get in touch with my body. And then I journal. And those are like my non-negotiable, you know, every single day I do that. And it's kind of, I always explain it as like putting your armor on for the day. It's like, okay, I can't control the world around me, but I did the things that make me feel good, and I can be more of in a responsive state versus a reactive
Yeah,
state.
that's wonderful. What a beautiful statement. Yeah.
Thanks.
Wow. Oh, I popped in another question. Here we go. How do you set and determine appropriate boundaries?
Ooh, this is a big one.
That's a good
Yeah,
question.
and this is one of the most important things for, I mean, everybody is boundaries, but especially sensitive people too. So I always say, like, you know, you need to set a boundary if it's impeding on your physical, emotional, mental space. If it's not feeling good to you, if something is like draining your energy, there's probably a place that you need to set a boundary. And a lot of times sensitive people have trouble with boundaries because we're often the people pleasers, the caretakers, we overgive, we're like doing too much. So
Yeah.
we're the people that need the boundaries the most, but we often feel scared to do it.
Or we don't
But some,
recognize it. I
or we
feel.
don't recognize, yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And so it's like you might know you need a boundary too if you're feeling like resentful of people, like you're feeling like, why am I always doing stuff and things for others and they're not doing things for me, or you're exhausted and you're drained and you're burnt out and you don't have time for yourself. Like you need to take your power back and set a boundary. And it doesn't have to be this like big crazy thing. Like some of the boundaries I've set are like, I'm not going to respond immediately to every message I get. Like it's okay, like people can wait. You know, or always making a point to like take a lunch break. Like it's like they're simple things, but it's like protecting your space, because when we don't protect our space, we're just like, our energy is leaking out and people can take so much from us. And so we have to get back to like, yeah, just like building that like fence around ourselves.
My gosh, I think you're speaking to so many of our souls right now.
Oh, good.
I know a few of that. I know it. I'm definitely me.
Oh, good. I'm so glad.
Oh, that's wonderful. I think we have one more. Can we be both HSP and empath?
Oh, yeah. I would say the majority are. I'm both HSP and empath. I think it's pretty common because, again, the HSPs are going to have the more active mirror neurons, which are responsible for the empathy. So yeah, there's going to be that overlap more often than not, I would say.
Oh my gosh. Do you have a website, right?
Yeah, I do.
Here, so
it's not like the most.
That.
Yeah, and it's not like the most up to date, but I'm working on updating it. But it has the information you need. But if people are on Instagram, I'd say go there, and I have like a link tree that has like a lot of good.
Oh, I was gonna say I have to shout you out for that because I went down a rabbit hole on your Instagram and was just reading. It's really great information.
Thank you. I have so much fun. That's my creative outlet, and that's another thing I'd say is good for HSPs is creative outlets.
Are there any, are you an artist or music, or is there anything besides IG that keeps you in your creative outlets?
Yeah, writing is my main thing. Writing was like what got me into doing all of this now. I started a blog. So like if you go to my lifebyalissa.com website, you'll see it's like very bloggy. Okay. So I have to like kind of update it eventually, but that was my first love and what got me into this work. I was writing articles to inspire people, and I found that anytime I talked about sensitivity, people loved those articles. So it kind of just like organically led me into sharing about it solely.
See, everything happens for a reason, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
That's so wonderful. Thank you so much, Alissa, for being here. Is there anything else that you would like to end with or tell us, or any special advice for our audience?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So one thing I would say, because you talked about just like how sensitive people, like how we can feel empowered. So I would say I have an empath archetype quiz that I think people would really like, because it helps you see like your strengths as an empath HSP. So I definitely say take that quiz. And then how
can people get that quiz?
I think I also linked that one.
Oh, you did. Perfect.
And I think it's on my website as well. Okay, that one actually is. So there'll be ways. Yeah. And my last piece of advice and what I would say is just like, your sensitivity is amazing. And it's like one of the most beautiful things about you. So when you embrace it, other people won't be able to help but embrace it about you too. So thank you for having me.
Wonderful advice. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. We have one last little question. If you don't mind. How much does caffeine affect you? Great question. As a highly sensitive person.
Yeah. So HSPs will be more sensitive to caffeine. I actually cut it out for like a year, but now I'm back to, I just drink 1 cup of coffee a day. And for me, that's fine. But yeah, caffeine, also alcohol and like refined sugar, things like that will affect you more strongly. So you have to, pay attention to your body's reaction.
Great. Yeah, I notice my heart gets really like jittery if I do more than 1 cup of coffee, because actually everything you've said, I'm gonna have to probably categorize myself as an HSP.
Heck yeah, join the club.
Thank you so much, Alissa. We really are so happy that you joined us today. I hope you have a lovely weekend.
Thank you. You too. Thanks for having me.